Today would like to talk about domestic violence and being part of a religious community. On Saturday, I had a conversation with one of my friends that I went went to meet, and I was telling her about the fact that I have this mark on my face that's 22 stitches, and that was because of um, my now ex-husband throwing a plate at me, and the surgeon, I had two plastic surgeons, and the first surgeon said to me, Mr. Ogura, I don't interfere with family affairs. However, I want to tell you this. If this plate would have hit you a millimeter to the right, you would now be dead. Okay? Um, then I went, then I was transferred to the next hospital where I had a different surgeon. And he basically said the same thing. He said, um, are you aware that you could have been disabled now and never walk again? Um, so yeah, that was very, very serious. Abigail was only 2 weeks old. My youngest one was only 2 weeks old at that time when that happened. So my friend asked me, so what happened? What did you do after that? And I said, well, as I said, Abigail was only 2 weeks old, and even though there was a restraining order in place, he wasn't allowed to come near me. I think it was a year or 6 months, I can't remember now. But after a very short time, I took him back because at that time, number one, I didn't know anybody in London. All my friends that I had, all my friends, hi Kevin, all my friends I had were friends connected to to my ex-husband. I didn't have my own friends. Secondly, as I said, Abigail was only 2 weeks old. I couldn't, and I have two other ones, so that was three babies on my own. It was very hard. But the main part why I took him back and continued was because I was part of this Christian religion. I was a faithful member of church, and when the elders or the eldest sisters, who were all Africans, by the way, sorry to say, um, came around, it was all about, oh, you should pray harder, and God has a plan, and God will work it out for you, and God this, and God that, and even, and his family, he has family here, and if you know anything about the African culture, it's very much you stay together no matter what. I think there's a change shift happening in that thinking, but at current it's still very much, it doesn't matter whether the man is cheating, beating you to death, whatever. You, the woman, you don't go, you stay, and you be humble, you humble yourself, and just pray. And one of his aunties even brought me this book, The Power of the Praying Wife, and said, just read this book and look at the prayers, and these women, they've gone through the same things as you, and now they have happy marriages and blah blah blah. And and I started to feel like, okay, it's my fault, it's my fault, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm I'm not praying hard enough, I'm not being sincere enough, I'm not cleaning good enough, I'm not cooking well enough, I'm not having sex well enough. It's me. It's me. I'm the problem. Or my mentality is too Western. I started to think, oh, maybe my Western mentality, because I was born and raised in the Netherlands. And my parents were very much assimilated into the Dutch culture. Well, my stepfather that I grew up with was Dutch anyway, but my mom is very much integrated. I mean, she didn't even speak the language to me, our native language. I learned it when I lived back home when I was about 13. That's how much my parents, my mom was integrated. And so I thought, it's me. It's me. It's my thinking. It's not right. How is it that other people are having happy marriages? How is it that other people can, can live and be happy? Hi, Maxine. Hi, Ivana. Thank you. And and I was going to church. I was living in church basically. Monday, no, I'm lying. Tuesday, prayer meeting. Wednesday, Bible study. Friday, prayer meeting. Saturday, choir practice. Sunday, church. I was living in church. I was living in church. If any activity, any event, I was there. I did everything, fasting, praying, everything, everything I could think of to do. Um, I did it because this is what people was telling me, that it's my fault. Even so much so, when his mom called me after this incident, that I ended up with the 22 stitches in my face, and I'm thanking God because you can only see a little bit of it now. It used to be very bad, but it's from here to here. Yeah, it's I call them my survivor mark, like Tessa calls hers. Yeah, I've survived mark. Um, this was only a day after or so. His mom called me, and she was like, "Oh, in Nigeria, we don't call the police on family matters. We don't call the police on family affairs. We sort it out ourselves. Um, and and you're our wife. You're our wife." And what she was meant to say is, doesn't matter if he's out there cheating, doing whatever. I'm the wife. I have seniority. But I didn't give a shit. It wasn't the cheating that was bothering me. Yeah, obviously it was bothering me, but that wasn't the point. The point was, your son almost killed me. But at that point, at that time, I was so, I don't know, so indoctrinated or so not self-aware or lack of self-esteem, whatever what was going on in my brain. um, Maybe the Stockholm syndrome was going on with me, that you you, you love the person that's imprisoning you, you love the person that is actually beating the crap out of you, and making you. And when I'm talking about domestic violence, it's not only about the physical violence, because it was a lot of mental anguish as well. I mean, what you might consider stupid things, I'd never forget. I was, you know, um, I was sitting and thinking, oh, the kids are gonna be on summer holiday. Oh, how are we going to pay for to take them on a holiday? Blah blah. And I was really stressing about it, and you know, um, looking online. And he was like, "Ha! Look at you! How you're stressing yourself about something stupid like going on a holiday, because that didn't have value for him. Having family time, that was valueless for him. But for me, that was very important, because I want my kids to grow up and have experiences, different experiences, and go to places and experience other things. So that in itself was like torture, those things. And then I was going to work. I was working, having, as I said, having three babies, and he was sitting on his ass at home, yeah, doing his dodgy things. And I have to come home, still cook, and then if I don't cook his food, he would complain. All those things, they're all abuse. They're all domestic violence. They're all part of domestic abuse, and it's all the spiritual thing is abuse. Even all those people around me that were telling me that I should stick with him and stay with him, that is abuse. They were reinforcing or giving him the power to continue to do the rubbish that he was doing, because he felt like, because he came one day and said, "Oh, it's Satan that did it, that made me do it." No, Satan my ass. You're Satan. Yeah? You're Satan. You've chosen to raise your hand. You're chosen to go on into my account and plunder my account. You chose to do that. No devil, no evil. You're just plain rubbish. That's the end of the story. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing from the point that I wanted to make. The point that I wanted to make, if you're a believer, good for you. Fine. great. Going to church, fine. However, however, do not lose your faculties, as in think for yourself. Do not allow other people to be indoctrinating you with false ideologies, false morals, because that's what it is, false morals. You stick together. Thank you, Maxine. Um, you know, those do not allow church people. I do not allow people, others, to you know help the perpetrator continue his rubbish. And I'm saying he, obviously, because for me, in my case, it was my husband, but um women do it to men as well. Women do it the same thing to men, yeah. And for men it's even harder, because i I'm a woman. I can speak out about it, and people, some people might be a bit funny talking about it and looking at me like, well, you had 3 kids with him, you, like they say, what is the I don't really know the expression. Anyway, you sleep with dogs, you end up with flies. Anyway, you lay your bed, sleep in it, basically. And but for men who are being abused, it's even more difficult, because there people will be looking at, what kind of man are you? A woman is dominating you. A woman is abusing you. Where? In which universe? And it's equally bad. Thank you, Marlon. Yeah. And so I just want to say that, so anyway, the long story, cutting a long story short, yes, Jenny, I said it, cutting a long story short, um, if your religion or your belief system in such a way that you're waking up with marks on your face, on your body, or you are living in mental or emotional agony because of this other person, you need to you need to readdress your faith. You need to readjust. You have to adjust your belief system. And I want to say, for me, it was difficult to break away. The only time when I finally, I will say, how did I break away? Because at one point I started uni, and that was where I started to get strength, because I got my own friends. So I was breaking out of that incestuous kind of, relationship and life. I got to come to uni, started to have my own friends. And then it was still very difficult, because when I went to uni, everybody was looking at me like I'm the funny girl. Yeah, I'm the funny girl, and everybody's laughing, and I'm making everybody laugh. And it was only at one time when one of my friends, well, then friends, unfortunately she's not my friend anymore, but she came to my house to study. We came to work on a project, and unfortunately at that day, my ex-husband, he couldn't even contain himself, because normally he would be able to contain himself. He wouldn't do or say anything in front of people. So in front of people, he was the perfect church man, the perfect family man. But this particular day, I don't know what he'd been drinking, or he was high or whatever. I don't actually care what the reason was. But he couldn't contain himself, and he ended up fighting with me in front of my friend. And that was, a blessing in disguise, if you like. That was a blessing in disguise, because that then helped me to be honest with her and say, oh, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional, but that helped me at that time to tell her that, this is what's going on in my life, and I don't know what to do. And she's been a real good friend, and I'm really sad that we're not friends anymore, but that's a different story. And she then helped me, and then when I started to tell her, and then I got to other friends that I could confide in. And then when it happened, when the next event happened, the serious event is when he tried to strangle me. He tried to strangle me, and obviously I had to call the police. I had to call the police, and it was such a good feeling that I could call my friends and say, "Look, this is what's happening." And also, I got away from the church, from the religion, from those people, from those people that were indoctrinating me. That it was my fault. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything, even if I was the perfect housewife in every sense of the word. He would have still done what he's done, because that was him. That was his choice. It was not my choice. It was his choice. And, so, and I just want to say, if you're going through pain, there is help out there. Yes, it's hard. If I say that I'm not feeling the consequences anymore right now, I do. I'm crying, so obviously I'm still feeling it. But you can come through and you can get stronger. I went to uni. I've set up 2 businesses. Okay, one is not going anymore, but I'm still self-employed. Struggles are there. The financial struggles are there. Emotional struggles are there. Mental, I'm still finding myself some days that I say or do things, and it shows that there's still lack of self-esteem or lack of confidence. Still finding myself, still finding myself. But and it's important to find other people to stay strong with you. Build yourself a good tribe around you, because it's very, very important. But I just want to tell you, if you're going through it, you don't have to. It's not your fault. When the person is not around, gather your important documents, because that's another thing I wanted to say. When he tried to strangle me and I had to call the police, and then after that, I was assigned this caseworker, really, and he was a lovely man, and I'm so sad that I don't have his details anymore, because I would love to meet him and kind of show him where I am, and that he saved my life, basically. Because even after that, at one point, I had his friends calling me and saying, "Oh, Nasha, this, that, let's try again," and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. And at one point, I called my caseworker and said, "Look, I want to drop the charges and just leave it. I just want him to go his way." And he said to me, "If you do that, I'm going to charge you with neglect, and I'm going to make sure you lose your children, because you're not thinking about your children then." And he was asking me, "Is anybody coercing you in dropping these charges?" And he was adamant. He was adamant that he was standing by me in a very painful way at that time for me. But he was standing by me, because he was like, "Natasha, I've pulled up your files. I've seen all the doctor reports, how you've ended up with bruises, how you've ended up being at the bottom of the staircase while you were pregnant. All of that. I've seen them. I know that these things have been going on for years. It has to stop now." He was lovely. He was lovely. He was adamant. He stood by it. And then even when went to trial, blah, 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 and then he came to the house and he said, "Look, the judge have sent this. He's asking, what do I think should be an appropriate punishment for him?" And at that time, I was still wishy-washy. I was still saying, "Oh, he just needs to learn how to be a good father. He just needs to go to anger management, blah." And this police officer went, and he needs to go to jail. He needs to do jail time. He can't continue to do that to people. He needs to learn that it's bad, that he needs to change his way. And he said, shall I write it for you and you sign it? And then he said, or you know what? I will word it and you write. And that's what's happened. So I am internally grateful for all these people in my life, this police officer, because maybe I would have given up. I would have been maybe even worse, or I might have been dead actually now, or disabled. Yeah, and my kids would be motherless, or having a disabled mother that can't look after them. So that's what I wanted to just share. I thought, the conversation on Saturday with my friend really made me think about it, like, because when she said, oh, what happened afterwards, what did you do afterwards, and it really made me think, like, actually, yeah, this is what happened afterwards. And I know that there's a lot of women, especially black women, out there going to the same or worse, and staying in there, not because they love the man, not because they think that's how it should be. It's because of all the religious community that they're part of telling them to stick it out. Stick it out. There's no sticking out when it comes to violence. I can love you from a distance. You live in your house, I live in my house. If you are a believer that you shouldn't get divorced, okay, we won't get divorced, but we're not living on the same roof with you. Yeah, and I will post some links under the video where you can go for help. Oh yeah, I started to say about the get your documents. You don't have to suffer. Get your document. When the person is not around, when your assailant, your abuser is not around, gather your important documents. Give them to a friend. Do something. Little by little. If you can't go at once, yeah, do it little by little. Gather your important stuff and just leave. It will be well with you. It will be well with you. Yes? And there are people out there, there are institutions out there to help you. And yes, it's not easy. I can tell you it's not easy. As I said, I am still, after these years, still feeling the effect. Yeah? But you can do it. Okay? So that's it. Don't want to drag it out. Feel free to call me. If you are going through and you want to call me, just inbox me. I will send you my phone number. And if you need me to help you to get out of the situation, I will help. And in any way I can. I'm not rich. I'm not God. I'm not any of those things. But I am very passionate about getting predominantly women. And it sounds sexist, but even if you're a guy, you can call me and I will help as much as I can, and I'll get you to the right people, I'll get you to the right institutions to help you. Okay? Thank you all for listening. Sorry for the tears. Bit emotional, as I said, but I think I had to tell my story. And this was the time. So, bye. Have a nice bank holiday. Bye.